Hello and welcome. My name's Sam and this is The Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today and welcome back to our funky fold. So if you haven't seen our videos for the beginning of Monday and Wednesday, we are using the stamp set of the week, Friendly Foliage. It's actually a bundle. It's been beautiful, 10 beautiful stamps, 1, 2, 3, 4 beautiful foliage and some wonderful sentiments, and then we have 6 beautiful dies. Monday we just focused on the stamps, and Wednesday we introduced the dies. So to see how they fully work, please pop back to those videos and they will show you there. But in the meantime, let's do our funky fold. So I'm calling this a double gatefold card. Okay, so it sits like this in the envelope, but when it's out on display it can stand like that and it gives you that effect. Okay, right, so let's bring in our supplies. So what have I got? I have a piece of garden green. This measures 4 inches by 11, which we will score in a moment. I have 4 pieces of designer series paper. Each one of these measures 1.5 by 3 3/4. I have a piece of white cardstock, which is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then for the front panel, I have a backing panel that's 3 3/4 that way and 2 5/8 by that. And then the white piece that fits into the middle is 2.5 by 3 5/8. Don't worry, my measurements will be on my blog. Okay, and then I have a sentiment which measures 1/2 inch by 2.5 inches. You will also need a piece of white cardstock to do your stamping. So I have stamped out the following images. So this is the largest die or the largest stamp in the Friendly Foliage, and I have stamped that out in Petunia Pop. I've then got 3 of the long foliage stamped out in Strawberry Slush. There we go. And 3 of the smaller pieces of foliage, and they are in Darling Duckling. Okay, and so I've stamped those out, and then I have brought in my dies. So that's that one, and that's that one, and then this one is a 2-stepped die cutting. So you can have it just cutting out the outline of the actual stamped image, or as in this case, I needed the middle stamped out as well. You've got this section which you pop over the top when you're running it through the cut and emboss machine, and it will cut out all the white areas that you don't need. So a ingenious little invention. Okay, so let's pop these aside and we will start scoring. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer and we will score. So the first one we're going to score at is at 1.5 inches. Okay, that's 1.5 inches. Straight down. Is it 1.5? No, I apologize. It's 1 3/4. Let's try that again. Move it up. 1 3/4 of an inch. There we go. 1 3/4 of an inch. And then we're going to 3.5 inches. Yeah, so that's 3.5 inches. So as I said, my measurements will be on my folder on my blog. So that's 1.5. So 1 3/4 and 3.5. Then we're going to turn it round and we'll do exactly the same. So that's 1 3/4. There we go, all the way down. And then 3.5. All the way down. And that will give us a piece in the middle that measures 4 by 4. I've just managed to knock all the papers on the floor. So I will go down and get those in a second. But in the meantime, let's fold. So the nearest score line to the largest piece of paper, you're going to fold in on itself. Okay, and then you're going to bring it back on itself. Okay, and then you're going to do exactly the same on the other side. You're going to bring it away from us. And then you're going to bring it, I can't remember which one I'm doing now. Don't want to make a mistake, do I? Let's turn this over. 2 seconds. mistakes are never a good look. So it is this one. It's this one here. There we go. That brings it back on itself. But don't worry, we will disguise that with our designer series paper. Luckily, it's on that side. Right, let's turn my paper over. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to pick up my pieces of paper I've thrown on the floor. There we go. Right, so the first thing we need to do is to stick our designer series paper on. So we're going to literally put one on here, one on here, one on here, and one on here. And let's see if I can get them to run in order. Is that one? Oh, that's those two, goes on there. And I probably dropped this one, so it's probably going to look, see if it's that way around. There it is, that's that way. So let's, there we go. So that is going to go onto here. Like so. Then we've got this one that fits onto here. Going to line up. There we are. Then we're going to do exactly the same on this piece. Oops. Two. Yeah, and then the next piece. Oh, whoa. There we go. And that comes on to there just like that. Sorry about that. Bella had just come back from her play date, so there was bedlam going on. Right, so where were we? I know we were going to stick this down. So we're going to stick this piece into the middle. Again, I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal. You can obviously use your favourite glue. So you've got multi-purpose. You could even use your double-sided. So those now will fit in like that. You get this gap, but don't panic, because this then covers that gap up with this, like so. Okay. Right, so we can create now. So I'm going to attach my white piece to this. I am actually going to use my multi-purpose for this one. It just gives me a bit of wiggle room. There we go. It's only a very small smidgen of a border. You don't really need much more. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stick this down on top. However, I should have put my dimensionals on it, which I haven't. So let's do that now. With that and a pair of scissors and a pointy tool. Let's have a look. Let's turn it over. So I'm going to see if I can find any. Right, I'm going to cut this lot in half. Like this. Oops. Right, okay, so let's have a look. That's quite a big piece, so that can go. Actually, I'll tell you what we can do. To save time, let's take our, work out where our flowers are going to go. So this one is, let's say it's going to go there. So we can turn that over. And then what we'll do is we'll put the dimensional across both. And that helps us keep that in place. Let's take another one. Let's say we're going to go there with that one. So let's have a look and see. Move it over slightly there. We can put a dimensional on there. Let's have a half one. There we go. Because obviously we don't want the dimensional showing through on the other side. So that's that one. And then the last one of this colour, we're going to pop about there. Let's turn that over. And then the half dimensional can go, oops, what did I do with, oh, it stuck to my finger. There we go, and that can go across there. So that's those three. Whoa, on. So let's add our yellow ones now. So same philosophy. Let's see, I'm going to have one there. One there. Yeah. Again, half a dimensional that can go across onto there. And then probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2. One there. Let's turn that over. Right, so I'm going to need to move it slightly. So I'm going to move it to there. And then we can get our dimensional on. And then hold that down. And then that will hold both of those. That's one. And then I'm going to bring the other one onto this side. Down to there. So turn that over. And then I can pick, another one there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down and see how it stands. See if we can get... Let's have a look. Let's see if we can... I'm going to cut this one into half. And that will help. So I'm going to put one there. And then I'm going to put one on the end there. Let's see if we can do that. That's a bit better. Right, okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to stick this onto here, like so. All right. So, just worried that that one is going to be too tall. The others are fine. It's just that one. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to ease that off. Bring it down a bit. Lower it down. And I will just add the dimensional back to there. There we go. See, that's better. Right, okay, so now what we can do is we can take the backings off of our dimensionals. There are quite a few, but we're okay. Work round in a circular, and hopefully I shouldn't miss any. Right, so pop that down at the bottom and that down on the top. Okay, so this is now ready to go. Now, we're aiming for it to be in the middle. So we don't need it to be glued all over. We only need it to be that side. So hold this down, turn it over. Work out roughly where you're going to have your glue is going to go. And then I'm just going to go, there we go. Perfect. And then I shall flip it back. And then we can hold that into place. That should stay. Perfect. Look at that. Make sure there's no glue behind. Yep, lovely. So the only thing we need to do now is to do the sentiment. And I forgot to stamp that. So let's bring that in. I'm going to use the happy birthday. My happy birthday is not sticking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my stamp and seal, run it down there, turn it over, and it will pick up my sentiment until I can actually get it washed. Right, okay. So let's stamp that, ink that up. That looks good. Let's just check it. Yeah, no, it worked. Right, let's go. There we are. That will go over there like that. Just add that with glue. I'm going to leave that open for a second because what I'm going to do is I have pulled out another die, stamp, which is this feathered version, and I'm just going to give a bit of detail to the inside. So I'm just going to do one here, bring this down so I can actually see what I'm doing. There we go, one here. There we go. Turn it around and we can do exactly the same. Ink it up and bring it down here. Perfect. So just got a little bit of detail in the side. Of course, you could stamp happy birthday inside if you wish to. Okay, so while that is open, I'm going to take my multi-purpose. I'm just going to draw a line of glue down it. Not too close to the edges because they won't actually reach paper to stick down. Work out roughly in the middle where you want it to go. So that's, for me, is there. Perfect. There we go. And there is our double gatefold card. Let's bring them back in. So thank you ever so much for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed those cards as much as I did. We will be back again next week, so do join me then. Take care. Bye.